point that's going to lead you to where you want to be. I have a couple more instincts that I want to tell you about. Two that were very life-changing for me. Many of you know that I used to suffer from a skin disease called prurigo nodularis. And Barb, you know, because we talked about it many times. It was a horrible skin disease that now I'm just left with some scars, but it was all over my arms and shoulders, and it created these horrible nodules that hurt and pinched, and I couldn't sleep. I was miserable. And I could not figure out how someone like me, being a person who understands the importance of thinking intentionally and what could happen, how I couldn't get rid of it. And I would try to visualize my skin being clear, but it just didn't work. It's kind of like if you're poor and you're trying to manifest money in your life and you're telling yourself, I am rich. Your brain goes, no, you're not. That's what happens. So this one day, I went to hear Noah St. John speak. And Noah St. John spoke in the audience, and he talked about how important it is to ask ourselves questions. Because he said when we try to do traditional affirmations, I am rich, when actually you're poor, your brain rejects it. But when you ask yourself a question, your brain is designed to answer a question. So if you ask yourself, why is the sky blue? Your brain will immediately try to figure out why the sky is blue. So I decided to incorporate what I had learned from Noah, and I began to ask myself, as often as I could remember to do it, why is my skin so clear? Because you see, your brain doesn't know the difference between a truth and a fantasy. So that question made my brain think my skin was clear. So this went on for 4, 5, 6 months. I still suffered. I had to go to the doctor, and I would get 20 to 30 cortisone shots in the nodules on my shoulders and arms once a month. It was terrible. Well, this one day, I'm getting ready to leave for an appointment, and I have this urge, this instinct to go on the computer and look for a recipe. I said to myself, why would you want to look for a recipe now when you're going to be late for the meeting? I didn't know the answer, but that power within, that innate power within, kept saying to me, go look for the recipe. So I did. So I went online. I said, I'm going to take 2 minutes. Went online, started to look, and all of a sudden I see something on the sidebar, and I click on it, which leads me to a click, which leads me to a click, which leads me to a study done by a German doctor who studied 33 people suffering from prurigo nodularis. Now, how the heck a study from a doctor for prurigo nodularis got on the Food Network website, I don't know, and I don't care. But he did a study of 33 people. Now, there's no cure for this disease. It lasts 8 to 12 years, and I was only 3.5 years into it. So my doctor, with tears in her eyes, said, I'm sorry, Catherine, but you've got a few years left to go. So I read the study, and he uses something called capsaicin cream, which is an over-the-counter and prescription-strength cream for arthritis. It's made with cayenne red pepper, and he uses it to treat these patients and cures all of them, all 33 of them. So I called my doctor, I told her about the study, I sent it to her. She prescribed me the capsaicin, it's totally gone. I haven't had it in 4 months, completely cleared up. She's now done a study on me, and she has all of her patients on this. My instincts. My instincts led me to that. The study had already been done. Your instincts are your power. Let me tell you why your thoughts, which are your instincts. Dr. Alan Wolf, he is a physicist, writer, and lecturer with a doctorate in theoretical physics and has taught at universities throughout the world on quantum physics. This is his quote. I am not talking to you from the point of view of wishful thinking or imaginary craziness. I'm talking to you from a deeper, basic understanding. Quantum physics points to this discovery. It says that you can't have a universe without mind entering into it, and that the mind, and that the mind is actually shaping the very thing that is being perceived. Joseph Donnellan, one of my favorite, I've read his book now 3 times. He's a physicist and the author of Ordaining Reality. This is what he wrote. Our thoughts and emotions are comprised of waves generated by a physical change in brainwave pattern. Now this is science I'm talking about. Our brain waves are forms of EMR, that is electromagnetic radiation, which includes all types of energy that can be seen, felt, or recorded. Visible light is an example of EMR. So your thoughts that you're thinking and your subsequent feelings, because by the way, you can never have a feeling without a preceding thought. It is not possible. You can never have a thought without having a feeling. Oh my gosh. You can never have a feeling without a thought first. That is impossible. So if you're feeling down or depressed or angry or anxious, there's something going on in your brain. So your brain is creating that electromagnetic radiation causing you to have feelings. Then he says this, a pebble thrown into a still pond represents wave creation. Larger wave creations are things like tsunamis, earthquakes, and volcanoes. So if you could picture that still pond and you take that pebble and you throw it in there, the waves go out and the waves come back. And that's how energy works. So your thoughts go out and your thoughts come back. I mean, that's what happens. He also talks about the fact that you can take a room full of grandfather clocks, bringing them in at all different times, and within 24 hours, they're all synchronized. They're all beating the pendulum at the exact same. That's EMR. That's the same thing your brain is producing with your thoughts. Women find that if they live in the same house for a while, all their menstrual cycles are the same. I mean, that's an amazing thing that happens, but it's a fact. So do you see the power of your thought? Your thought creates this EMR. So if you are not intentionally thinking your thoughts, if you are thinking your thoughts by default, you will never manifest what you want in your life. You will just be going with the flow and falling into whatever happens. But when you use intent, so this past summer, Jennifer, I want you to plug your ears. I was supposed to go to a family wedding, Derek's. I was supposed to go to a family wedding, and it was Saturday. Had the gift bought, we were going to go, and I had also been invited to a dinner party. I have 5 minutes left. Okay, I'm almost done. So I'm also invited to a dinner party, and I said to my daughter, Emily, I feel like I'm supposed to go to that dinner party. So she said, Mom, trust your instincts. So I go to the dinner party, and Lisa and her husband are there, and Catherine Miracle and some other people I know. Well, Jill Banner is there with her husband. So I meet Jill for the first time, and we get to talking. We start talking about a book that I wrote and that I want to have it made into a movie, and one thing leads to another. And long story short is Jill and I entered into a business relationship, and we have started a publishing company that has put us on target for millions. I have been visualizing abundant wealth in my life for years, and we are on target for that. My instincts. I blew off that wedding because I instinctively felt I needed to be at that event. And had I not gone to that dinner party, I would not have met Jill in that capacity, and that wouldn't have happened. So what I've come up with here is, and I'm happy to email this to anyone who wants it, these are the 10 steps of intentional thought. And we talked earlier at the table, and Sherry had mentioned how she has an accountability partner. And there's many people that I work with, that I coach, that really struggle with intentional thinking because it has to become habitual. Because we're so used to default thinking that to think with intent, you have to practice it, but then it becomes second nature to you. And I thought it would be really cool if you could have a positive thought accountability partner. But anyways, here's the 10 steps. First of all, you want to realize your power, and that's what I just talked to you about. What is it about your thoughts that makes it so powerful? It creates EMR. It goes out into the universe and it brings back what you're thinking about, good or bad. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. The second thing is choose thought with intent rather than default thinking. The third is trust your instincts, whatever they are. The fourth is become conscious of grumbling. Grumbling is one of the best ways to deplete your energy and your intentional thinking. Because if I'm frustrated at the woman who's taking forever to cross the parking lot rather than walking straight and crossing, she's just kind of meandering, and I begin to grumble about her, I'm thinking thoughts by default. I'm not intentionally thinking, I'm thinking by default. And grumbling is one of the best ways to drain you of that energy. So don't complain and don't grumble. Make that a conscious effort. I live in a grumble-free home. Absolutely no complaining allowed. The fifth is to be grateful. Gratitude is the most important thing. It is what's spoken of in the Bible. All of the great religions talk about the power of gratitude. The sixth is use visualization to as the fuel to intention. So if you want that new job, and you don't know how you're going to get it, you don't need to know, what does it look like when it arrives? What does it feel like when you have all that money? How are you spending it? So have active visualization in your mind for whatever it is that you want to manifest in your life. The seventh is practice abundance thinking. Never look at lack. Don't think about lack. Don't talk about lack. Think only of abundance. Because your thoughts create EMR, which go out there and make that person put the wrong tape in the player at that very moment that I happen to be sitting there looking at a movie called Evelyn. Okay, you understand what I meant by that? The eighth thing is meditate. Meditation is very important. Clear your mind, even if you do nothing but think about your breathing going in and going out. Meditation every day. The ninth, become metacognitive. Metacognitive means the ability to think about what you're thinking about. So if I'm feeling I need to go eat that bowl of popcorn even though I'm not hungry, I need to think about what I'm thinking about, because my feeling is to do something that goes against my nature. So you need to think about what you're thinking about. The last thing is to empower others. Because when you teach other people what I'm teaching you, it becomes integrated into your life even more. So share this information, empower others. And the very last thing I want to show you is my circle of intention. This is very important, and here's how it works. I have an intentional thought. I want a new job. I want a job that I'm happy in. That's my intentional thought. Now I'm going to feel its presence. How does it feel when I have that new job? Am I buying new clothes? Am I skipping home? Am I hugging my husband, telling him how much I love it? Whatever it looks like to you. The third one is to know and believe that it's yours. Because everything that I just told you shows you how what you think about, you're going to bring about. So you have to have that sense of belief, that knowing. Like I knew I'd have a homegrown tomato. Never thought about it again. I just knew I'd have it. You win a lottery ticket, you have a winning lottery ticket, you know you're getting the money. And the last thing is to actually, you're going to realize your intentional thought. That means it's going to happen. You're going to have that new job, or you're going to have that new car, or happiness, whatever it is. So this is the circle of intention that's really important in being an intentional thinker. So I'm going to close with this. The power of a thought is enormous. It's capable of changing the most desperate conditions into the most magnificent. And yet, as powerful as a thought is, it's totally under your control. No one can think your thoughts or take ownership over them. It is your inherent right to choose what you think. We have power over the most powerful force of the universe. You have the power over the most powerful force in the universe, which is your thought. Think them with intent. Become an intentional thinker. Amen.